Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Kenneth Fong from Malaysia, and thank you for joining this OIS symposium jointly organized with Cake and Pie Expo. And this is an interesting symposium because this is the only symposium that's going to focus on practice management or the business of running your ophthalmology practice. Although the session is only for 1 hour, we have three very distinguished and experienced speakers joining us today. From China, we have Dr. He Wei, who's the founder and managing director of the He Eye Hospitals. Dr. Sjakon Tahija from Jakarta, Indonesia. He's also the founder and managing director of the Klinik Mata Nusantara group of eye hospitals in Indonesia. And of course, not to forget Professor Natarajan from Mumbai, India, who's no stranger to all of us. And he's also founder of his own Aditya Jyoti Eye Hospital in Mumbai. And myself, I'll be sharing my experience of setting up and running an eye center chain in Malaysia. So we have 1 hour for this symposium, but if you have any questions, please feel free to type the questions in the Q&A chat box, and we will try our best to answer them. For the purposes of the meeting, this meeting will be recorded, but you can access it later online. And to kick off the meeting, I'll perhaps start my presentation first, and I'm going to share my screen now. Thank you. So my name is Kenneth Fong. I'm the consultant ophthalmologist and vitreoretinal surgeon and managing director of Oasis Eye Specialists in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which is a specialty eye group, subspecialty eye center in Kuala Lumpur. We also have centers in 2 other cities in Malaysia. And I'd like to acknowledge my partners, Dr. Manoharan Shanmugam, Dr. Korn Hoon Hoon, and Ms. Gu Chui Hong, who have been instrumental in the setting up of this eye center group, and also have been through with me in the past few years the pains and tribulations of setting up a private eye care group. So I'm just going to share a bit about the overview of public and private practice of ophthalmology in Malaysia. Have a few slides about why should you consider setting up your own practice. What are the visions of my particular center group? Of course, we're going to talk about the challenges we face, and these are daily issues all of us face. And more pertinent is the current pandemic, which has impacted the lives of people around the world. And most significantly, ophthalmology practices, both public and private, have been severely impacted. And I'll also share some tips that may be helpful for people. So in Malaysia, we have public service of providing ophthalmology from 2 sources, the Ministry of Health or from the public universities. In the Ministry of Health, the doctors are salaried according to a standard public service scale with allowances. It doesn't matter what subspecialty you are paid the same, whether you are cataract, glaucoma, retina, cornea specialist, you are paid the same salary scale as all of them. If you are confirmed in your service in public service, you essentially have a permanent job until you retire. So this is a guaranteed job until retirement, and it's a very stable and secure job. You are allowed to do limited private practice within certain public hospitals. They have certain wings for private practice, or if that's not available, you can get permission to visit private hospitals and clinics, but this is usually limited to 1 day a week at the most. The restrictions of working in a public hospital under the Ministry of Health, you can be posted anywhere in the country, so you don't really have much say about where you want to work. It's a bit unstable, or in pandemics times like this, you may be directed to work in a COVID ward rather than managing ophthalmology cases based on the need of the government of the day. The university is similar in the sense that you're also salaried on a public scale with allowances. Again, if you're confirmed in service, you have a permanent job until retirement. You're also allowed to practice limited private practice in a private wing of the university, which most universities have, or sessions outside in other private hospitals. The main restriction in university is you have a lot of research and teaching commitments on top of your clinical work, and this can be very difficult to juggle. What about private practice in Malaysia? The model in Malaysia that is most commonly followed is that most private doctors are independent contractors at private hospitals. Malaysia has many private hospitals, and here you are paid a fee for your service. You are charged administrative charges and rental charges of your room by the hospital. The hospital will hire support staff to help you, whether they are nurses, optometrists, or healthcare or clinic assistants. You have a contract that you sign with the hospital that's subject to regular renewal. Most contracts are 3 to 5 years. If you are starting out in private practice, some private hospitals may support you by guaranteeing your income for the first year of practice and then bond you with them for another 3 to 5 years. But after that, there's no guarantee of your income. If you get sued by a patient for malpractice, you are on your own because you're considered an independent contractor. So you need to maintain your own medical legal insurance. You may also be salaried. This is also a model that's becoming increasingly common, where private hospitals will give the specialists a salary. This is more common in specialties like radiology or physicians. And there are certain terms of employment that each employer will set for you. You may have financial targets to achieve for your bonus or increment. Again, like the independent contractor, the private hospital or the eye center provides all the staff and equipment for you. Again, there's no guarantee that your salary will remain the same or increase. For example, during COVID, when the numbers of patients are lower, you may be at risk of a reduced salary, or finally be at risk of retrenchment if you are not satisfied with your service or if your services are not required. And finally, the model that probably is more relevant to this talk today is if you are a partner or owner of your own eye center or hospital, whereby you still charge a fee for your service, but more importantly, you yourself have to come up with a capital investment or leasing to set up the hospital or eye center. You're responsible for the hospital license and all running costs. Of course, there is a potential to earn money from the dividends or share of profits of the center, but that takes several years to build up before, as you have to cover all your initial costs. And of course, the risk and stress of this model is higher. So in our practice at Oasis Eye Specialists, our vision is to provide a high quality subspecialty eye care and service. It is completely owned and managed by physicians. Our aim is to provide a comfortable, affordable, ethical, and reliable service for our patients. Our main focus is our patients and our staff, as we have no businessmen, shareholders, or owners. We only refocus on our patients and staff. And it's a very flat management structure. We don't have a pyramidal structure of management. Basically, it's managed by the doctors and directly down to the staff. Here's an interior design of our practice. And as the name implies, Oasis aims to be a comfortable and soothing environment for our patients. We have a lot of greenery and soft colors in our interior and also in our exterior of our building. Before we started out this group practice, we did a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. The strengths of our practice is that we have competent and established subspecialists who are all partners in the group. We have a good location and landlord for all our locations. We have strong experience in setting up ambulatory care centers in Malaysia. In Malaysia, we have a unique license structure called ambulatory care, whereby it is not a hospital or a clinic. It means we are allowed to have operating theaters, and our patients only spend the day in the ward and they are discharged at the end of the day to go home. We are not allowed to keep patients overnight in our centers. But I think for ophthalmology, the vast majority of operations are done as an ambulatory care setting. All applications for licensing and renovations are done directly by the doctors, and this saves a lot of costs. What about weaknesses? Of course, when you start up a new place, you have no recognition, and we were not on the panelship of any of the insurance companies. And then competition in private practice in Malaysia is very fierce. There are many private eye centers and hospitals, especially in Kuala Lumpur. No one was aware of the Oasis Eye brand when we started it. And some of the doctors that join us are new to private practice and require a period of time to build up their reputation and also their practice. What about opportunities from setting up your own practice like this? Well, Malaysia is very centrally located in Southeast Asia and is also a hub for medical tourism. So there's a great opportunity for us to take part in the medical tourism market from around the region, and we have many patients coming to us for that. It's also possible to scale up the brand and the group with new branches throughout Malaysia or even regionally if it's successful. Again, once you have a group of doctors working with you, like I'm sure our three speakers after this will share with us, you can attract many good doctors to join us. And again, we can manage our costs very closely because we have a deep understanding of how to run an ophthalmology practice. And we can control our own prices day to day. For example, we can decide how much to charge for cataract surgery, for LASIK, or for vitreoretinal surgery without worrying about the effects to us. What about threats? There's always threats from competition from existing and new centers. Some centers have already been listed publicly and they have more money they have raised from the public, or they've been bought over by private equity firms, and they may have more money to spend in terms of promotion or hiring new doctors. Government legislation may change in the future that may make ownership and construction of private eye centers more difficult. Of course, the cost of goods are always increasing, and with a pandemic, it can be difficult to receive goods, and also we are subject to the foreign exchange pricing as well, as many of our goods such as intraocular lenses or medications are imported. And in times of economic slowdown, of course, private healthcare will often take a slight drop in business. What are the challenges of setting up your own practice? Firstly, you have to raise the money yourself. Savings and money has to come from your family or your bank. The application of the license can be quite complicated. It involves several stages. You need to identify your location. You need to build an operating theater, which is very expensive. You need to hire your staff earlier before you open and pay their salaries. And this whole process can take up to 1 year. Clean room contractors who are experienced at building operating theaters have to be hired. You need an architect to help design the center for you. You have to decide what sort of model your private practice is, whether it's a single practice or multi-doctor practice. Are you going to focus mainly on general ophthalmology or subspecialty work? You have to source for your own equipment and consumables, and a lot of this relies on your own contacts with the industry and requires a lot of support from them. Finally, location. It is so important to choose a good location for your eye hospital. You need to be near a large population base. You need to be aware of the competition of local centers. You need good parking. It needs to be accessible. We are lucky because we are near public transport, and a lot of my staff come to work by public transport, and of course the location has to be safe as well. One of the biggest factors in building a successful practice is the talent. And our group has now 14 physicians practicing in our group. And of course, it's a struggle to attract the best talent when you are starting out. But once you are established as a brand, it gets a lot easier. And the key to success is a group of doctors that actually work together. And from my opinion is that the character and ethics of the doctor is more important than the actual surgical ability, for example. A doctor may be a very, very good phaco-surgeon, but he or she may be more money-minded and be more aggressive in operating on patients that may not need surgery. And this may not be such a positive thing for a group practice to have. So I think it's important to assess the personality and needs of the doctors that want to join your group. All doctors should be financially invested to ensure commitment. Basically, it's important that all doctors have a financial stake or share in the center so that they are committed to ensuring the success of the center, to ensure that their financial investment is not wasted. And I think this is important to also ensure the long-term success of the center. If a doctor is not financially invested, they would just prefer to be salaried, then perhaps this sort of model is not suitable for them, and they may be better working in a private hospital setting that's willing to salary or guarantee a minimum income for them. Every doctor has been treated differently and also given an opportunity to lead within the center in different roles. Different opinions matter, and of course it's hard. We need to allow space for different opinions to be given, but a decision has to be made on the direction of the center, and all the views have to be aligned with our ultimate vision, which is provide a safe, effective, and cost-effective service for our patients. What are the day-to-day challenges? And here's a typical day-to-day challenge. We come to work on Monday morning, and what do we have here? A mini flood in our clinic. Someone has forgotten to switch off the air conditioning over the weekend, and the air conditioning compressor has leaked out all over the floor in our center. And then we had to fix the air conditioning and mop up the floor. At the same time, manage a busy Monday morning clinic and operating theater. So leaking pipes, power failures, IT failures, these are all regular issues that you as the owner or partner of a center will have to deal with every day. Staffing issues are probably the biggest problem. You have staff with poor attitude, staff who take excessive leave, staff who do not get along, and who resign suddenly, and then you have to recruit to replace them. So once you are a partner or owner of a eye hospital, these are the day-to-day issues that really take up a lot of your time. And you find that doing a cataract operation is actually the easiest thing to do when running an eye center. Adequate patient workload. Not all doctors working in a hospital or center will be equally busy, and some of them may be quieter than others. And it's important to try and build up adequate patient workload for all of them to make sure that they are busy and satisfied with their practice. And this takes time, and some doctors will require more effort to market their skills and services to the public than others. Machines that you hire or buy will break down, and this requires regular servicing and dealing with. To overcome this, we focus a lot on staff training, and we also have optometrist students from around the country coming to work with us, and we train up. And this also is a good source of staff for us. A lot of optometrists who have done internships with us, if they are very good and stand out, we will offer them a job with us. We organize different sorts of staff training sessions, such as basic life support. In Malaysia is a multi-racial country. We speak many languages, and some of our non-Chinese staff, we arrange Mandarin classes for them, and they found it very helpful, especially when communicating with our Chinese-speaking patients. We also do a lot of research and clinical developments. We collaborate with many healthcare providers around the region. We have developed the first artificial intelligence software reporting from retinal photos with a software from Singapore Eye Research Institute, where it generates an AI report on the patient's retina without having to see a doctor. We are taking part in clinical trials. We have started a COVID-19 vaccination service as well for our local population. How do you keep costs low? Well, it's important to get the company, the majority of equipment from the same company. Try not to buy your machines from different companies, and this will increase your costs. For phaco, we standardize the IOL types to 1 or 2 brands. You should really stick to one type of glaucoma, a dry eye brand in each class, and order them in bulk to save money. In our operating theaters, we use the same brand of phaco vitrectomy machines and microscope for all the centers, and this helps reduce costs significantly. Paperless, cloud computing are all essential to maintain your costs. What is the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on our practice? We opened in December 2019. The pandemic started in March 2020, and we found that we went in full lockdown last year, and our business, although it broke even very early, it dropped by 70% in April 2020. But since June, we have picked up rapidly, and we are now making, we are doing well, but we still have to deal with reduced patient numbers because of delayed or cancelled appointments. But we found our workload has increased because from the public service has not been able to manage ophthalmology cases due to COVID patients, and they have been sending the patients to us. They've been outsourcing the public work to the private sector to help. We've had no medical tourism cases because of the international lockdown and the increased cost of goods. Sometimes when our staff are exposed to at-risk cases, we have to quarantine our staff, and we have to deal with staff shortages. We have ongoing fixed costs, but the government has assisted with some wage subsidy. Our landlord has also assisted with rental reduction. And the vaccination drive has made us more optimistic. And certainly, I think what we've learned from the pandemic is made us stronger as a group and more adaptable and resilient. We do a lot of virtual symposiums like what we are doing now, and because of no face-to-face meetings allowed, and we have been very early to adapt to pick up on these virtual meetings. We have weekly online talks by our doctors, and we have more than 500 views weekly on our Facebook page on these meetings. Our half-day virtual symposium last year attracted more than 1,000 people and had very good feedback. We also collaborate with insurance agencies, local schools, mass media, or the pharma industry to give online talks to them. Charity's work continues despite the pandemic. It's been very satisfying for us to help at risk or for people who cannot afford eye care. And this is a great source of satisfaction to our doctors and our staff as well. Despite the pandemic, we have opened our 2 other branches in Johor Bahru and Seremban, and will continue to grow. So in summary, It's a difficult decision to make whether you want to start your own practice. Be prepared for a lot of personal stress. It's best done as a group of similar-minded doctors. It takes up to 2 years of planning and significant financial resources is required. It's increasingly more challenging environment due to competition and increased cost. You need to have a vision and long-term plan and stick to it. And you should focus on your own service rather than the competition. And very important to train and internally train your own team so that they are able to be loyal to your center or your hospital and stay with you long term. Thank you very much. So that's my talk there. And the next speaker is Dr. Sjakon Tahija from Clinic Mata Nusantara, Indonesia, and he needs no introduction as well. So Sjakon, please go ahead to share your screen, and we look forward to your presentation.
So wonderful, Kenneth, your work and your presentation.
Thank you, Nata.
I'll share my experience in starting a chain of eye clinics in Indonesia. My background, my family is a business family. I'm the only doctor there. So I went into medicine. I trained in ophthalmology in Indonesia and did a vitreoretinal surgery fellowship in 1995 in Australia. In 1990, with my family's money, I bought 20% shares in an eye hospital in Indonesia, Jakarta Eye Center, which was considered the best at the time. In 2004, I left GEC with a plan to establish a chain of eye clinics with superior customer service. We now have 5 clinics, 4 in Jakarta and 1 in a town in central Java, Semarang. Why all in Jakarta? Well, the money is in Jakarta. And why 4 clinics? Because of the terrible traffic jams that we have. So all these clinics take care of different sectors so people can visit them easily. Also, it's useful that there are different ethnic groups in certain areas, so you don't lose all your patients during Chinese New Year, Christmas, or Hari Raya. The vision was to create a national chain of eye clinics with the highest standards of medical outcome and customer care, with the core values of the family enterprise: integrity, respect for people and the environment, and continuous improvement. The market. The target market were Indonesians who go overseas for eye care. In 2010, Parkway Health had 82,000 foreign patients, 60% of whom were Indonesians, with an average billing of 6,500 Singapore dollars. In 2019, 250,000 Indonesian patients visited Malaysia. A majority of the 550,000 foreign patients visiting Singapore were also Indonesians. The only real competition in Indonesia was GEC. The main revenue earners are cataract surgery and LASIK. This is me doing 3D cataract surgery in the South Jakarta clinic. I find this extremely useful. And 2 of our LASIK machines in 2 different clinics. The strategy was to target the upper socioeconomic customers, to provide a 5-star customer experience, have staff committed to the highest standard of care, have skilled, communicative, and ethical ophthalmologists, and quality control is of the utmost importance in all systems throughout the entire network of the clinics. These 3 people played a very important role. The first was Art Willett, our technical advisor, who helped set up the systems for monitoring everything. Second, Dr. Rudy Cahyadi, who started as COO and now as CEO, and then he became CEO. And Dr. Sjakon Tahija, established the quality division. Quality division is of utmost importance. This is a patient waiting area in different parts, different clinics. And it is actually like this. It's monitored continuously by the quality division and the general manager to make sure things are clean. There's no tissue going all over the place or people haven't spilled things. Bathrooms we consider absolutely essential to be clean, to smell nice, and not be wet or anything like that. A dirty bathroom really gives a very bad impression. What were the challenges? A shortage of capable ophthalmologists, a lack of quality culture amongst employees, GC opening a new clinic each time we opened one and put it right next to us, government regulations only allowing general anesthesia in a full-fledged hospital, a lack of common ophthalmic medications, which are readily available in Singapore and Malaysia, and finally, the pandemic. Ophthalmologists. We started with only three senior ophthalmologists. All the rest, we had to recruit fresh graduates from ophthalmology. In 2004, there were no new graduates that were trained in phacoemulsification. We had to invite Dr. Abhay Vasavada, a renowned cataract surgeon, to teach our ophthalmologists at our clinics and in his institution. We sent our young ophthalmologists for training in different subspecialties to Australia, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, and India. This is Dr. Vasavada in the early days teaching phaco at our clinics. And Dr. Victor Rasubala, who is now the cataract instructor at our clinic for all new doctors with his mentor, Dr. Vasavada. I decided to establish a clinical quality assurance system where all complications of cataract surgery were presented at the end of each month. And it was discussed, starting with the most senior doctor, me. And it's completely open. Nothing is hidden. I wanted a culture of complete openness. You discuss your problems and find a way to fix it. These are our doctors. I was interested in what Dr. Ken Fong was saying. No one is a shareholder. It's 100% owned by our family business. They are all fee for service. But we find if you give them a nice working environment, then they can take home a good amount. It's fine. The next challenge is quality control. We established a quality division and adopted the ISO 901 quality management system. We do continuous auditing to ensure standard operating procedures are adhered to throughout KMN. We get customer feedback both online and in person. And we hire mystery shoppers, people that go around with the little cameras, and they go to these clinics pretending to be patients, and they take photos of anything that is not right, and report it to us. We established an internal nurse training program with lectures and training from the ophthalmologists, senior nurses, marketing specialists, makeup specialists, public relations, and we have regular quality culture workshops and training programs. This is one of the workshops for the nurses where they learn how to put, what you call it, makeup, nice hair. They're taught how to sit, how to walk, how to behave, how to talk. We also have to teach the security. They don't smile naturally. So it took a long time for some people to teach smile, 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 and not frighten people with, their face. And so they open the door, they help people in, and we get a lot of good comments about them. So the challenges. We decided with competition to basically ignore the local competition because we're competing against Singapore and Malaysia, to concentrate on providing a quality experience for our patients and focus on the upper economic segment. We tried going to the lower economic segment and failed because we pay our staff very well to give good service. So when you try to charge low fees, it doesn't work. We lost money, so we just closed the 2 clinics. And another clinic in Manado, Sulawesi, we were not able to establish good quality control and high levels of service. So rather than damage the reputation of the other clinics, we closed it. Government regulations. The government doesn't really differentiate between eye surgery and general surgery. When a patient died in a small obstetric clinic from general anesthesia, they banned general anesthesia except in hospitals. So we hired an Australian anesthesiologist to train our anesthesiologists to do local anesthesia for difficult ophthalmology cases. So now we do retinal detachment with scleral buckle, etc., all under local. However, for children, of course, you need to do general anesthesia. So we certified the South Jakarta Clinic as a hospital for general anesthesia cases, and our doctors take it there. Our inpatient area. Availability of quality drugs. Eye surgery chains like Alcon, Bosch, and Lom have their own distributors, and we can provide the best quality intraocular lenses and disposables. But there is a very limited choice of brand name eye drops, which are readily available in Singapore and Malaysia. Even FDA approved eye drops are not easily approved by the Indonesian Agency for Food and Drug Control. The COVID pandemic, patient numbers dropped 80%. Preventive measures were temperature check, facial screening, strict controls on social distancing, mask use, continuous cleaning by the housekeeping, and patient information videos. We also gave learning from the hotels, discount vouchers for surgery, and they were redeemable up to 12 months later. So, you buy a discount cataract or discount LASIK, and you come when you feel it's safe. And this worked pretty good. We also got a new market because Indonesians who would never go to a local clinic or hospital for eye care had to come to us. And when they came, they experienced our service and they became loyal customers. The quality culture training, which is so important to keep things all in top quality, it's done now by Zoom. And this is done a couple of times a year, and it's extremely important. I personally did videos with shown on all the televisions in our waiting room regarding the precautions that we're doing to keep people safe. We had free ice cream and coffee, which we took away, but then people looked forward to it. So we supplied it again, but made sure people wear masks and disposable gloves when they're taking the ice cream. It's very popular. This is our headquarters in the South Jakarta hospital, which we own the land. And these are our LASIK patients who gave testimonials. So that's my story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sjakon. That's very inspiring, and I think you speak with a lot of experience. Having visited your center itself a few years ago, I was very impressed, and I think you've set the standard for quality of eye care, not only in Indonesia, but within the region as well. Our next speaker is Dr. He Wei from Shenyang, China, and he's one of the key people who developed one of the first private eye hospitals in China. And he has a lot of experience of running and managing private healthcare in China. And I'll be very interested to hear what he has to say. And Dr. He Wei, over to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you all. Thank you all, my friends. I really learned a lot listening the above two speakers. I'm so happy. And I think I'll learn a lot for the next speaker after me, Professor Natarajan. Considering challenges and tips on setting up private hospital, I have to say there are three major big challenges, not only in China, but for private hospital, I think we are having same challenges. One is branding, because private hospital in China is a new thing. Though we have more than 21 years, but still we are far later than the public hospital. Second thing is human resources. Most of the famous professors and doctors, before they retire, they want to work in the public hospital for many reasons, but they only after they retire, they want to work in the private hospital. So human resources is a big challenge until now. The third one is the finance issue. So the financial, comparing to the government hospital and for the private competitors, they are very financially very privileged. For the new hospital building, especially the doctor building hospital, is a very big challenge. I talk a little bit about myself. I'm an ophthalmologist sending to overseas to study my PhD to learn.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you move your slides? Your slides are not moving.
Excuse me?
Your slides, they are fixed on the introduction screen. So can you start the presentation?
Yes, I already did.
Yeah, you're there, but you're not moving your slides. We are still on your first slide.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you need to go to the present mode. If you're using PowerPoint, can you press the present button and then you can present your talk.
I stop this again and then
you can share your screen. You can share your screen and then just press play on your presentation.
Okay. Can you see this?
Yes. You can carry on.
Sorry.
Yes, carry on.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what happens. I'm personally, as an eye surgeon starting my profession, then I was sent by the government studying my PhD in Japan. And then after my PhD, I do my fellow training for retinal surgeon. My PhD was involved deeply for molecular pathology That's given me the later base fundamental for doing a lot of innovation, technology transfer later to now. Can you see this now? So China is the largest population in the world, but is also the largest, the eye problem country also. So there are no private eye hospital in 80s and early 90s. Lack of eye health personnel and hard to access to service. Even at that time, cataract surgery only in Beijing and Shanghai at that time. So I decided to return to China when I graduated from Japan. And after my fellow training for retinal surgery, I come to China, built the first eye private hospital in 1995. This is the little clinic. The above branding is bigger than my room. So now Vision Group is the first ophthalmic eye care system integrating medical education, training in industrialization and R&D in China. My strategy for facing the challenge with a very heavy public hospital and the new coming big capital-driven eye group is going to be taught from now on. We try to combine the medical service, education, training, and research, the high-tech, to be integrated together. We have made a network in Liaoning first, and gradually to cover the other places. Now we have more than 100 hospitals, clinics, and optometry clinics. We have made the innovative eye care model, which is large scale, high quality, sustainable, payable, low cost, and replicatable finally to scale up of this. Why we can do this is since 15 years before, I put a lot more money on internet and intelligence medical plus database, the big data, to reduce the burden for data management, to have a better accesses for the patients. We built a cloud-based hospital management system, which makes all our clinics, hospitals, optometries using one cloud system. So we know a lot of data. We use AI for screening the eye disease, including optometry problems and diabetes problems, cataracts, which help a lot. And also we built a university, which makes human resources and sustainability. Now we have 15,000 students. Most of them are clinical medicine with subspecialty of ophthalmology, visual science, and optometry. We have 26 measures with 15,000 students. The medical science, engineering, and visual arts together. This is old land before they become like this. And we have international education school from Southeast Asia, Western Asia, from Africa, who have a dream to learn medicine and then do ophthalmology, optometry after they graduate. This is the first national training center for prevention blindness. We give a multi-specialty training to make the trainees, when they return to their country or their home countryside, they can build up their own clinic with different knowledges combined. Research and the industry can solve the problem of inadequate and overly expensive medical service by innovative technology. I think this help us a lot, because without technology, we cannot do any competition. This is China Special Eye Industry Town based on our university. So we develop the new technology based hydrophobic intraocular lenses with a different function, like a drug releasing one. We make stem cell for skin, for cornea, which already clinically used, and the eye drops, which based on the Western medicine and the herbal medicine, which treat dry eye and treat retinopathy of diabetes, and a lot of new drugs. And we build a national genome bank, which gives a really lot of benefits for molecular level understanding of myopia, retinitis pigmentosa, a lot of hereditary diseases and high myopia, and understanding the diabetes complications with phenotype, which make us treatment to be more sufficient and accurate. The stem cell papillae loss, we are soon building stem cell clinical trial hospital in Hainan, Boao. This hospital will have privileges of special policy for clinical allowance, clinical trial allowance, and with special treatment for GCP trials. The branding based on the quality of service, because we made a hospital owned by doctors. We believe that the hospital service must be follow the mechanism of the ophthalmological service, not based on the market or capital driven. I think patients gradually believe us more and more. We do Belt and Road Initiative site for Africa. We organize China-Africa Day for Prevention Blindness Summit. We do the cooperation with Pakistan for training their patients and treating their people, and equipping them for upgrading, and how to enable them for the AI-based, the big data system, which help to make the better accesses for the patients from the hospital. And in other Asia countries, we are trying to helping more countries to give them a power and try to establish their own power by our output. We're trying to help these African countries to helping them to strengthen their capabilities. Because of COVID, some of them are slowed down, but we'll finally reach them soon after the closing of COVID. So the tips for setting up a private hospital in China, I think we need support from government. That's very, very important. Second, innovative technology. comes first. No matter the AI-based screening equipment, those equipment are very special. They don't need a doctor. They need a pupil, maybe high school student, university students, volunteers using this. For example, this screener we call iRobo, which can check more than 1,500 students with a myopia, which only need one person. All data come to the cloud after AI and have referential diagnosis to the doctors. So this is a very, very high efficiency weapon for the doctors, for the hospitals where you have a shortage of human resources. And eye drops, we develop new eye drops which have different function for either optic nerve protection, new vascularization, for prevention, refractive errors, dry eyes, which will one after one coming up soon. Stem cell for clinical trials. We are doing Boao Center now in Hainan. I think we are near more to Southeast Asia country, which we may work together for cooperation. You're welcome. This is a traditional medicine. I think in Southeast Asia country, you have a lot of natural resources. We can work together for developing this. We have a 5,000 years history, but we have a 3,500 history of a traditional medicine. So those technologies really help us a lot for making what we really need with a payable price. I'm so happy to sharing this experience, but this is anyway, this is a China experience, not maybe not suitable for every individual country, but I believe this experience for common problem may help a little bit, help each other. But I believe new technology from now on, either the internet, big data, AI, can really help us. The innovation for new products like iRobot, like stem cell, like a genetic diagnosis, like new drugs, may really help us to develop a new era for new ophthalmology. Thank you very much. I'm not sure whether I can have your slides. I can give my slides for anyone, but I don't know how to share this. Thank you very much. I want to know each of you, your contacts for further communication and the learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. He. It's a fantastic talk and congratulations again on what you have achieved. Without wasting much time, we'll be running a bit over time, but not to worry, this session is being recorded. If you need any of the audience want to join the other sessions, you can always come back later. The next speaker needs no introduction, is Professor Natarajan from Mumbai, India. He's a world famous ophthalmologist, and I often tell Professor Natarajan, I see you more at the overseas conferences than I see my own colleagues sometimes, and it's a great pleasure to see you, and you're looking very healthy. So Professor Natarajan, please go ahead to share your screen, and we look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Kenneth. I really enjoy our friendship, and thanks to Sjakon and Dr. Prof. He. 1 second, I don't know where I lost my presentation. Just a second.
It's okay. Maybe we'll just do a quick brief discussion while you find your presentation. Dr. Sjakon, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoy your talk very much, and I believe that there's different models, of course, for running a practice. In your practice, your family owns the hospital and the doctors are essentially fee for service. What about in China, Dr. He? Are the doctors salaried? What is the model there? Who owns the hospital?
The salary in private hospital, majority of them are paid based on the basic salary, the bonus of their result. Of course, depend upon what kind of hospital. In my hospital, we judge the performance not only by the amount of surgery, the number of patients, all the patients. We care so much about their culture sharing. We follow the core culture. First one, they shouldn't be, as you mentioned, shouldn't be only skillful, but not aligned with our core culture value.
Yeah.
Second
How many doctors do you have working in your practice now?
We have more than 500 more hospital, and yeah, we have more than 1,000 more staffs working in our hospital. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And Sjakon, in your practice, you said you had to close some centers. How did you reach the decision to close a center? That must be a very difficult decision to make.
As I mentioned, we're in the family is in business. So if a branch or something isn't making money in a short time, you wait, it's just going to keep on bleeding. So we just cut. We take the employees and the doctors there, and then they work at our other places. The most difficult was probably Manado, because the customers gave very good ranking for the customer service, because it was so bad customer service everywhere else. And so it was really a pity, but trying to get the doctors to conform to certain levels of customer service was difficult. I mean, when the doctors are smoking and such, it's unacceptable for me, well, in front of the patient.
Yeah.
So it would poison the reputation, the brand name.
It must have been very difficult to monitor as well, because they're so far away. You rely, and then sometimes you rely on staff there to report back to you. So there's a lot of friction when they have to spying, for example, for the owner. So that can be very difficult to manage as well.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah. And what about, I mean, we didn't talk about this, but if you're collecting money as well, there's always theft and things like that. How do you deal with, I mean, little pilferages of stock, of income from your centers?
It's the ethics and value. You can't bargain about that. So if anything is stolen, the person is fired. That's it. There's no compromise.
Sure.
We have audits to check the money and such. And if there have been several times the cashier borrowed something and they were going to put it back, you discovered you can't give any mercy to that. You fire them.
Yeah. And what about in China, Dr. He? I mean, what is your experience dealing with staffing? And it must be the biggest headache when you have staff that do not perform. How do you handle them? Doctors who are not performing.
Oh, that's very important. Since the beginning, we use a digital way. We get, and as more as possible, digitalize them. We using the data, monitoring what the performance. We have a data, we have scores, and to measuring their performance. That's very important, especially the ERP. So, for example, the stocks management. When you manage a hospital in different provinces, you must have your digital managing system first. We use it for long years, and we are now building them to be cloud-based for any people who want to use them for everything. HR, for performance, for quality of surgery, for management of drug, pharmacy, everything in one system. And also for optometry, which is very important because frames and glasses, so many. If you don't make it digitalized, it's not almost impossible. You have a delayed stop, which you lose a lot of money. So digitalize them and managing by the scores. This is what we did for 25 years.
And I was very interested by what you said about support from the government. Of course, in China, I think it's very important to have the support. But does the government own any of the hospitals? Do they have a share in your hospital?
No. The government equally treating us. That's very important.
Yeah.
Because we are new.
Great. Okay, Professor Natarajan, I can see your presentation. So please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. I heard your discussion, and thank Kenneth and thanks the OAS for giving me this opportunity. Challenges and tips on setting up biggest eye hospital in the commercial and financial capital of India, Mumbai. And so my inspiration is Swami Vivekananda, who was a monk in 1890s. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. So I'm a passionate man with a zeal of nightlife and fondness for Hindi and Tamil movies, with more than 60,000 retinal surgeries and over 3 decades of experience in the field of ophthalmology. Was India the youngest vitreoretinal surgeon at my time, and the first Indian to be awarded twice by the Vitreous Society for the honor in vitreoretinal surgery, and also to be honored with the Goosey Peace Prize. So a peek at how it all began. I was born in Madurai, and that's my parents, my mentor, Dr. Badrinath, and my best friend, Shivanand, and God. So this was my father and mother, and I'm always wearing tie. And when I was done with this was my childhood. When I was done with the clinic patients at home, my father was an ophthalmologist. My grandfather was an ophthalmologist. I would look deep into my dog's eyes and using my dad's direct ophthalmoscope. At a very young age, the dogs have a glittering retina. And my love for my profession began then. And that's my mentor, Dr. S. Badrinath, who started the who was a legend in ophthalmology in India. And my journey, one step must start each journey. And this was again the inspiration: stand up, be bold, be strong, and take the whole responsibility on your own shoulder, and know that you are the creator of your own destiny. And their life is a series of experiences which one should follow intelligently. So I was a consultant in Natarajan after my training as a vitreoretinal fellow and then as a consultant. I came to Bombay when I was offered the position of head vitreoretinal surgery at the Tapari Institute of Ophthalmology in the Bombay Hospital, which is one of the biggest private hospitals in the country, and continued till 1990. I accepted the offer under 2 conditions: offering me the head of the vitreoretinal department and providing me accommodation, which they did. But there I performed close to 1,500 retinal surgeries in 15 months till 1990, and it was a wonderful learning experience, an opportunity for me to grow and expand my patient base under the watchful eyes of senior consultants with the protection a hospital setup had to offer me. But coming from a disciplined and traditional practice, Mumbai's energetic buzz and the city's workable attitude was perfect for my setup. And one day a chairman from Bank of India who was impressed with his wife's surgical results said to me casually, "Why don't you start your own private practice?" And this was a thought that kept running over and over in my head. And that time in India, or rather, at least in India, nobody was doing exclusive vitreoretinal surgery as a private practice, even though Dr. Nagpal in Ahmedabad had, but he also had cataract and other subspecialty with him. In 1990, the inability of the hospital, the Bombay hospital where I was working, when I required the state-of-the-art eye surgery equipment, which was responsible for my decision to start an exclusive vitreoretinal center at a suburb of Mumbai at that time. Now it's the heart of Mumbai, called Dadar. And Mumbai is an expensive city, after all, being the financial and economic capital of the country. Mumbai alone contributes to more than 5% of the total GDP and 25% of the industrial output. Mumbai is the hub of the Bollywood industry, attracting thousands of immigrants from all over the world. It is the largest part of India, 2 airports, textile mills. Mumbai is considered now as the central hub for trade, industries, and business. And real estate in Mumbai is very expensive, comparable to maybe Shanghai, Tokyo, London, and New York. And starting my private practice, I needed money to take this drastic step. I did so with loan from a bank, slow and steady for a while it was, but soon things took off. My mantra during tough times: creativity is just not going to the moon, but living effectively on the earth. And this was a residential complex. I took a ground floor. My mentor, Dr. Badrinath, his wife, Dr. Vasanthi Badrinath, Dr. Gulapalli Rao, the founder of LV Prasad, and good friend of Professor Hay, and the Sheriff of Bombay inaugurated it. And Dr. Badrinath again came when we all started expanding as an exclusive interaction center into total ophthalmology, including LASIK. So I found that in spite of having the 3 flats and maybe 2 more, I got a separate plot with a building, which I converted into a total eye hospital. Gradually, perseverance, better financial planning, and sheer hard work gave me the means to open a bigger and better eye hospital in central Mumbai, Vadala, the heart of the city. So actress Aishwarya Rai Bachchan inaugurated the Ayatejot Eye Bank in 2004. And then this was the purpose of the, and this is the statement I put in the hospital, where a patient is the most important visitor on our premises. He's not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He's not an interruption in our work. He's the purpose of it. He's not an outsider in our hospital. He's part of it. We are not doing him a favor by serving him. He's doing us a favor by giving us an opportunity to do so. And this is what I tell and then do it. Setting up a private hospital, private practice is great for the economy, but I felt it was equally important to give back to the society, which got me wondering, how can I help Mumbai? So I started a foundation, the Aditya Jyoth Foundation for Twinkling Little Lives. The name was suggested by Honorable ex-President of India, late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. This was set up in Mumbai, and we have touched about 8 million people and doing some 3,000 camps so far. And it's a not-for-profit established in 2005. And you can see my best friend Shivanandan along with the staff and also promoting eye donation by an actress. And this is the beginning in 1990. And this is an exclusive 4-floor building with a terrace, which has the A to Z in ophthalmology now. And we were the first mover at Vande. We are the first one to introduce biome in India, Asia, and Australia, and first in Asia to have the endoscope that time, preferential hyperacuity meter, and so on. So many times, and there were a lot of magazines covered me, and then so we put Aditya Jyoth Eye Hospital on the map of to show that it attracted patients. We had a new logo in the 21st anniversary. We are now in the 31st year. We started the first carrying the Indian-made retina camera in the motorbike under the foundation, where you can see my grandmother, my CEO of the hospital that time. He's actually from Malaysia, Mr. Ravichandran, my father, and Dr. Radhika there. We carried the three netra camera in the motorbike, the first project in the world going on motorbike. And then we also started research. We had this Altitude Institute of Vision Science and Research, and we have now got a Government of India grant from BERAC, which is the Government of India, which gives us the funds for doing a clinical trial network and establishing clinical registry for the next 3 years. We also had this Altitude Institute for Vision Sciences and Research. So we at Altitude we are the center for clinical trials, and we also tried working on the artificial retina prosthesis and stem cell, but you all know that there's still a long way to go in that. And BERAC Clinical Trial Network is the national peak body that supports and represents a network of clinicians and researchers conducting quality trials, clinical trials, and maintaining clinical registries in India. And until BERAC Clinical Trial Network, there was no single coordinated mechanism to connect clinical researchers with government, healthcare policymakers, and consumers on issues that impact the conduct of clinical trials across India. And our activities represent the priorities required to develop, implement, and support a national framework to expand the capacity, capability, efficiency, and effectiveness of clinical trials and clinical quality registries. So we have a team of clinical trial network with 11 staff, and the whole thing behind it, I know all the three of you mentioned about the various ingredients required to start, but I thought when I came as a single man, I didn't know the local language, I didn't have money. So what was the secret for success behind me? I found the answers in my room. The roof said, aim high. The fan said, be cool. The clock said, every minute is precious. Mirror said, reflect before you act. Window said, see the world. Calendar said, be up to date. And door said, push hard to achieve your goals. And when you want something, this is what Paulo Coelho from Brazil said, in the book, The Alchemist, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. I wanted to have a big eye hospital when I was in Chennai, but it happened in Mumbai. So I think whatever you want, you are very perseverant, have perfection, patience, prayer, and as a veterinary surgeon, precision, you'll be able to achieve it. Whatever is going on in your mind is what you're attracting, and we are like magnets, like attract. So you become and think, attract what you think. And we have the 3 examples here: Dr. Sjakon, Dr. Kenneth Fong, as well as Prof. He, who has a university on in his name. And I'm always inspired, and I take a seat next to him whenever I'm in the ICO Board of Trustees meeting. And yet, Bhavam, Tat Bhavati, which is there in Sanskrit, you become what you think, and world is manifestation of our inner state. And this is mainly for the young people. Perceived reality, it eventually becomes manifested reality. And we perceive a thought containing a change or emotion. The process, a patient set into motion, an arrow has been released into ethereal planes or thought sphere. So think positive, think big, let that one idea be your everything. And I thank my team for giving this presentation. I know that I have not gone into the detail, but I want to say I was an employee, employed with just maybe not even $100 a month in 1985, 88 under Dr. Badrinath, but now I'm one of the biggest eye hospitals in India doing work. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope I've conveyed what is required to be done in this symposium. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. It's again always very inspiring to hear you speak, and also we mustn't forget all the great work you've done, your charity work as well. So I think we have run over time, but maybe we have time for a couple of questions since this is a virtual meeting. Perhaps any of the panelists, do you have any questions you want to ask? Dr. He, any questions you want to share with us?
Yes, I'd like ask Dr. Sjakon's very good qualified level of hospital management, hardware, software. Even you're facing a little bit challenge for distance or whatever, but keeping the high quality, I can't help admiring what you did. Very, very impressive. I'm facing the challenge for upgrading our hospital service because follow the economic growth, people income, demand for quality service is increasingly demanded. So I want to someday visit you to see how we can learn from you, Dr. Tahija.
Thank you very much, Thay. The person who started the quality service was Dr. Shelley, who happened to be my wife also, doctor. So she was head of the Indonesian of the quality control in the Indonesian clinical pathology department. And so taking it from there and putting it into our place was not that difficult. The problem is continuously monitoring and continuously trying to get the truth about problems that are happening.
Yeah.
I would like to visit you also, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tahija. You know, I met your wife in the Bali Island in the 26th International Ophthalmology Congress in Singapore. It's 1991, I don't remember, but I was a tumor guy. I'm a pathology guy. So I went to Bali Island when after Singapore meeting, the World Congress, I went to Bali Island for intraocular tumor, where I met the Indonesian doctor group. Maybe your wife, when I see the photo.
Oh.
I hope to visit you someday later.
Absolutely, and I'd like to visit you also, sir.
Thank you. Indonesia have a lot of islands. We may supply you the system which used for distant island screening up for the eye problem without a doctor needed, which is very, very, very efficiently applicable.
That would be very good. I would be very interested. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Professor Natarajan, have you got any questions from the panel? Any last comments
No,
before we end the session?
I only want to compliment all of you. And I think it was a great learning, Kenneth, from you. And I know you for long, and Professor Hiwai also, because I keep in touch with him in person. And I promised him I'll come to China, but I was in December 2020 in Jinan.
I'm waiting for you.
I know I have to come. And same thing here. You all are welcome to Mumbai. I know it's not the right time to come, but I think when everything is safe, all of you should come. And Sjakon also, I know him well for long. And and plus my fellow is there in Jakarta Center, so I know about everything about Sjakon, and I like
very good, very good. So, you know, Professor,
is, each one of you have done something, and I hope all of us, and including the people who are watching, you're an inspiration to see how we can replicate or learn from each other, which is really
it's a very good opportunity. We can tie up together to share the resources, because we are a private hospital. We face challenges from all around us. So using any possible tie-up, synergy, technology, human resources, then we can overcome a lot of difficulties.
I think we four should join and set an example that 4 private people are together and to show this part of the world.
You're right.
Yeah, I think small steps, we can definitely do something, and we can discuss this later offline. Now I'd like to open up to the audience. If there's any questions from the audience, you can raise your hand or write in the chat. If not, you can always email the organizers of this conference, Cake and Pie Expo, and they can provide us with our contact details, and you can contact us directly as well. The whole presentation is recorded and it can be available offline later for all of us to view and share as well. So in the interest of time, I'm going to end the session now. I'd like to thank Dr. Sjakon, Dr. He, Dr. Natarajan for their time taken to prepare the presentations, and I wish you all take care, and I hope we can meet up again in person soon. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.